Another rumor we got. Well, it's not really a rumor.
It's more
Uh,
it's more of like some guy was like,
yeah,
I wonder if Nintendo's making VR, and
yeah,
someone's like, we need Nintendo news today, and so let's put that out there.
yeah. The story is it says Nintendo VR device rumors from game industry, but it's really like we said, just this guy. By 2022, the majority of VR revenue will be spent on portable, self-contained VR systems that are not mobile or PC VR. Imagine if you strapped a DS to your face. It's like that. Or imagine if the Virtual Boy didn't suck. There'll be gaming devices and won't have cords all over the place. I would bet Nintendo is working on one, Shell
Yeah,
said.
that's the rumor. I bet Nintendo.
I would
Imagine
bet
if you
Nintendo.
put a 3DS on your face. I bet that's what Nintendo's doing right
Imagine if
now.
you strapped the DS to your face.
You just take like two
It's like
staples and just.
that. Or imagine if the cord or the Virtual Boy didn't suck. And
I
there won't
mean,
be cords all over the place.
and yeah, I mean, it's just that was like a ridiculous
I
news
would
story.
bet the Nintendo's working on one. Headline:
Yeah,
Nintendo VR device.
but there is a little bit of not credibility, but a little bit of news value, a little bit of novelty, if you will, impact, proximity, the news sources of journalism or cores of journalism. Um, that there was GDC this past week, lots of VR. PlayStation VR announced that they are coming out in October at a 399 price tag. It's going to be awesome. It has all of these cool games launching with it. Eve, Valkyrie, probably No Man's Sky. Every PlayStation game is compatible with the VR device, and so you can strap on Knack right on your face and just go to town on it.
Yeah,
Oculus is also coming soon. HTC Vive is coming this summer.
yeah,
Lots of VR discussion in the game industry, and so I think that's why game industry probably put out this story was just how can we make up a story about Nintendo VR just to have that name out there
yeah,
and probably
definitely.
get clicks and not like attacking the integrity of game industry, but it's a smart move to kind of throw out that discussion,
Yeah,
and it's not like they threw it out there like, hey, are they maybe making it? Who knows? Like they actually had honestly a pretty good suggestion of what Nintendo probably would do, where it would be an independent device
yeah,
like a 3DS strapped to your face. I mean, as awkward as that language is, that's probably a pretty good description of what Nintendo would do. And it does make us wonder. Reggie was kind of clear at the latest C3 that he wasn't too impressed with the modern VR. People are kind of worried about PlayStation going into the VR game because um, it's a little too early. They don't really have the resources of the development to really pour a ton into it. And it could be just another flopped peripheral like Xbox's Kinect or PlayStation Move controllers, or even honestly the Wii U gamepad,
yeah,
where people may not want to hop onto it, developers and consumers alike. And so it's an interesting time to be kind of looking at Nintendo and being like, so you guys going to be doing VR
yeah.
because you're Nintendo?
Yeah, it was one of the things that I was thinking we might have to have a discussion on sometime because it's been on my mind a lot
Mm-hmm.
the past few months with just all this VR hype and how we're both really excited for VR in a lot of
Mm-hmm.
different ways.
I don't know if we're
And
picking it up right at launch. That $400 price tag,
right,
right after a year, which is already going to be pretty financially demanding. I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah,
That'll be our new Patreon tier. Is $400 a month. Zach and Kaz get VR for themselves.
yeah,
No, no community help whatsoever. Just like we're just gonna treat ourselves.
yeah.
No,
But
we won't do that. We won't do that.
I was thinking though that we need to maybe have the discussion sometime, maybe a little later in the year or something about just is it the right choice for Nintendo to abandon VR and is it should they really be looking as kind of like distancing themselves from it and because of their whole Virtual Boy fiasco and that
Uh-huh.
failing and kind of putting the blinders on to it. I don't know if I really don't think that it's a detrimental problem for them, but I definitely think it's kind of an interesting conversation that we might want to get into sometime just about Nintendo and how this could possibly separate them even further from the competition and from everybody else who are moving on now to another medium that Nintendo is yet again not kind of totally grasping onto. Like they didn't it just always when they say these things about VR, it echoes to me when they said, yeah, nobody really wants to play online with people, and nobody really wants to do these things like what was they're always saying kind of they're afraid to move on a bit. The HD.
Yeah.
I think they were like they with online they said people don't really want to play online, and with HD they were like, oh, it's really just the games that matter. Nobody really cares about HD that much. And then they kind of took a bit to catch on to that and to catch up with everybody. And I've thought it's an interesting thought slash discussion maybe to have about is this the same thing again with Nintendo, and are they going to be too late again once VR possibly becomes taking off, tremendously, and where beforehand they with like the Wii they had a advantage when they put out the motion before everybody else and had that huge success, and they were ahead of the game in that
Yeah.
instance. And this time they might be behind it. So who knows? It's an interesting thing, and we might have to do like a Patreon episode exclusive or something like that
Yeah, I
sometime.
don't know. There'll probably be a slow news week where we can
Yeah,
talk about it. But
for sure.
the closing thought on that, so we can move on to the few final stories here of the episode,
Mhm.
is just I don't know. Microsoft is in the same boat where they're not diving into it right away, and I would think a lot of industry analysts would agree that while it's awesome that PlayStation and Oculus and
HoloLens.
yeah, that's more like augmented reality
Yeah,
sort of
that's
thing. They don't have like a consumer friendly VR coming out, is what I kind of meant.
yeah,
Like Oculus and HTC Vive and
yeah, yeah.
VR, PlayStation VR are. But I was gonna say though, like a lot of industry analysts would say though that that's kind of a good idea though to not completely dive in. That PlayStation may be taking a huge risk and may flop if they fail like at the VR, and if they do succeed at the VR, it won't be too monumental because it's even success at that rate's just going to be a soft start because not everyone's going to pour $400 down into it. It's going to be a slow start. And you would think at that point, if Nintendo truly saw some sort of resonance with consumers and that VR was more than just like a futuristic, like, I don't know, dream almost, like, whoa, VR is the future, like when it actually has like puts its money where its mouth is. Like once it does that, you would think that Nintendo has the resources, the development, the innovation, and the creative geniuses to honestly probably put together a VR system not too slowly. Like they could probably manufacture and develop and design, especially once they can see what the other competitors are doing, something very similar. And I don't say that to be like, yeah, VR is easily, but it's also you're dealing with a company that has created home consoles, has created 3D without glasses, has made virtual reality in the past, and has billions of dollars they're sitting on. They could be like, oh, guys, look, VR is actually taking off. Let's make Nintendo VR, put a bunch of money into it, and make it better than what they're doing, and let's go. And I feel like they could probably hop on that within a couple of years. And that, like you said, may be too late because it was definitely too late with their whole online idea. And it may even take them longer to figure out how to do that than, or not necessarily how to do it, but why they should do it. Because Reggie, I think, still insists that people don't like to watch YouTube videos of people playing games. Meanwhile, you have PewDiePie taking over Norway, and it's like,
Mhm. Yeah.
um, they seem to be completely off the mark in some regards. And so I don't know. I think Nintendo VR is going to be such a fun talk because it's bound to happen, I would think, eventually. Because I think the gaming industry is going to go into a VR direction, or like that's going to be a constant consistency where it's like PlayStation 5 will launch with VR at its side, just like Xbox One launched with motion controls at its side with Kinect. You know,
Yeah.
it's that motion controls are always sooner or later going to be in gaming just because of the Wii, whether it's through PlayStation Move or Kinect or the Wii motion controls. And VR, because of PlayStation VR, is going to always be, I think, a consistency in the gaming industry, more or less.
Mm.
And so I think Nintendo will eventually have to hop on that, but yeah, we just don't know how. But Yeah, that was a cool talk. I don't know.
Yeah, indeed.
Thanks, game industry, for
Yeah.
throwing out complete like, hey guys, what do you think?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
giving the rest of the world a news story to talk about. So redundant. Yeah.